Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Danny, the Flossy Raptor here on YouTube and Sarcastosaurus Rex over on Instagram. I use this to talk about my cross stitch, a little bit of crochet when I do crochet. I usually use it to wind down, so I don't tend to get a lot done because I do a row at a time, and I think showing you 30 rows of a project perhaps isn't the most interesting thing I could. So yes, primarily cross stitch. And let's talk about January. So this is my Thursday video. Thank you very much if you're coming back. Welcome to everyone, whether you're coming back or whether you're new here. If you're new here, thank you for clicking in. In January, I managed to get 2 finishes. If you're coming back, you'll be aware of the Level Up Wedding Sampler. I finished that. I can't actually show you it until, well, I probably could show you it, but I'm not happy to show you until it's fully finished and gifted. So when I do get around to showing you it, it will be a picture. I might have the foresight to video a clip once I've fully finished it and then put it into that month's Flosstube of when I've actually gifted it. I think the next time I'm going to see them is probably the beginning of May, but we shall see. I may be able to post it, possibly. I don't know if I trust it to be posted, but I did actually finish something else. Now this is my 3rd time filming this bit because I haven't actually managed to get it in focus. So I managed to finish, put something behind it this time. I managed to finish this Mill Hill project. Is that in focus? It looks to be in focus. It's the willow dragonfly, and it joins the bee, in theory. I'm going to put it away safe. Hopefully when I go to put it away safe, my brain finds where I've put the bee away safe and they can be safe together. But that joins the bee. My end goal for these is I would like a load of fridge magnets for the front of my fridge that are beaded bugs. So I've got another dragonfly kit to do a ladybird and a couple of butterflies of just the ones I've got in my drawer to do. There are more Mill Hills that I would like to collect, but I will get these ones done before I start purchasing more, because there's no point in having a load of kits in the drawer that I haven't actually started or finished or stitched on at all. Wait, a little bit of foreshadowing potentially. We'll see. But yeah, so this little guy is incredibly heavy, but finished. Very happy with him. The cutting out around the edges was quite scary. But I did it and he's finished. So I started off the month by working on my WipGo goals. The calls for January were 11 and 20, which for me were Wings of Change and Holiday Dragons. So my goal for WipGo is making sure I get every project out that I've got and actually stitching something on it. So I've got a goal of 1,000 stitches rather than a time frame or something like that, because it's a tangible bit of progress into each one. It's a tangible bit of progress into some of them, I should say. The full coverage is 1,000 stitches. Won't be an awful lot. I think the only one that it would be a tangible bit of progress in would be Rowan, because he's about 50,000 stitches, so that would be about 2%. So, okay, yes, tangible in most of them. And yeah, so I managed to actually complete both of those. I spent 5 days on each, ironically, and I got 1,000 stitches and a bit plus change into both of them. So I'll show you Wings of Change with a bit of thread on the back of the project bag, because it's over next to my alt jar. Oh, lots of threads have come out of my alt jar. Okay. So, apologies for zip. Yeah, so this is my 3rd time filming this, so I think that's the only one that's actually zipped up anymore. I'm not sure why I'm organised enough to zip up one and not zip up the others, but I'm not going to complain. So Wings of Change is this. So that is the tip of not the tip, it is the flower. It is stitched with classic Colourworks, Lavender Louise. Slight variegation, which I didn't figure out at first, but once I figured out, I was showing you on its side, which doesn't really matter because it's a circular design. So there's 1,050 or so stitches just to complete Lavender Louise on it. Can I show you? Yeah. So the butterfly is going to be around here. It's a monarch butterfly. This is a flower that they feed on. I want to say milkweed, but I don't think that's the milkweed flower. I don't know. I can do British flowers. I don't really do American ones. So where they're different, obviously, where they're the same, I know them. 1,000 stitches into that. This is stitched on 40 count Stormy Sky linen by Crafty Kate. I bought this at a retreat without looking at the count, thinking that's perfect. I'll stitch a pretty lady on it, thinking it was 28 count. Got back to the table, realised it was 40 count, and thought, I'm not returning it. I'm going to make it work for something. And when I saw the Wings of Change pattern, I knew it would be perfect. I also want to stitch the Fabulous House series on this when I get around to starting them. So that's Wings of Change. Next up, we've got Holiday Dragons. So last time I said with Holiday Dragons, what I wanted to do was stitch to the left-hand side of the pattern so I could then trim the fabric to size, because I'm pretty sure that I can fit 2 patterns. I can see right there. I can fit 2 patterns on this piece of fabric. I'm thinking possibly Dewdrop if she'll fit on this half. I have sewn this stitch to the other end, but I've yet to trim it because that's the kind of permanence that somewhat scares me, and I just haven't had the brain capacity to measure something 6 times and calm myself down to cut it. But that is what I managed to get done. All of that yellow is now finished, and the green, apologies that I haven't ironed these, but I don't actually own an ironing board, and it would mean putting away the sewing machine and the Lego to get enough space to iron it. So projects can tend to get ironed if they've been away for a while or if they're finished. That's really the only time I worry about ironing projects. But yeah, so the yellow is finished. The green of the dragon, it goes down. You can see his little head, little paw and wings started. And yeah, I really enjoyed working on this. Lots of fractional stitches, but really, really, really enjoyable. I really quite enjoyed it. What I'm thinking of doing with WipGo, certainly for the moment with the projects that of last month and the projects that have been called for this month, is going for colour completion, picking a colour and just stitching that colour. I'm finding with the level up sampler, it's a lot of little bits of colour, and I was finding that really not hard going is the wrong way, but it was really, really sort of challenging to make myself really, really excited, because each little bit's a finish, but then you're stopping and starting, and sometimes it's a little bit of thread, and because there's blank space around it, you can't carry your threads across. So it is a case of stitch it, finish it, stitch it, finish it, and it required more thought perhaps, and I really enjoyed with the WipGo projects of just getting out one skein and just running with it. So WipGo for January, success. I have decided that for each WipGo goal that I achieve, that's £10 per project I get to put into a pot. I'm also attempting, I say attempting, I have mostly succeeded bar one day, but I'm attempting to minimise my spending with cross stitch. I find with cross stitch and crochet, I impulse buy an awful lot, and I don't know why. I don't do it with anything else. Anything else gets added to the basket and I think about it. I'll spend months researching things sometimes. Like my TV, I researched it for months. Computer parts I'll research for months before I even press the button and buy something. But crochet, crochet and cross stitch, it was an awful lot of impulse buy, and even the one thing that I've bought this month, I thought about it for a week before I bought it. So I'm quite, although I have somewhat failed in that I did buy something, in my mind it was still a success, because it wasn't an impulse buy. It was something that I thought about and I have a use for as well. It's not oh, that's pretty, I'll do that, I'll get it. It was an actual thought process. So I've been tracking that and WipGo. So this is my WipGo board. It's a notebook, it's a list. I work best with lists, I find. It's easy to trace down the numbers on the side for me rather than tracing across. I know it can only be a box of 5, but it works better with my brain. It'll get highlighted once it's completed, in the colour of the number along the right hand side. Yeah, the right hand side for me at the moment. Left hand side when I'm looking at it's probably left hand side for you guys, I think. I've yet to write January in because the calls for February and the calls for February are 7 and 8. So for me, that's the James Webb Space Telescope cell and the Pixel Dragon Adventure cell. So I need to write those in there and make a start. But yes, back to the tracking. I have actually been tracking my spending and seeing the red cross. I made it so close to the end of the month. Seeing the red cross has made me a little bit sad, even though I thought about it. It was a piece of fabric from Coffee Crafts from a Super Sunday. It went up on the Sunday. I fell in love. I said, if it's there at the end of the day, I'll get it. It got to the end of the day. It was still there. I decided, you know what, I'll wait. Let's think about this a bit more. And it got to Thursday and she did her last cool things before. I think they go on her website now. And it was still there. So I got it. It was a piece of 36 count opal linen. I'm looking for 36 count at the moment now for the Make It Pink Hannah Alexander princesses. I'd like to do, the 3 I got were Merida, Belle and Ariel. Ariel I want to do on a pale piece of pink fabric. There's a colourway from Crafty Kate that I think would be perfect for it. So when I actually get around to starting her, I will order the fabric and start kitting her up. There's no point in kitting her up now to have her kitted up to not touch for 6 months. And that's another thing that I've decided, if it's kitted up, I'm going to try and make a start on it in some way, whether it be through WipGo or just secondary stitching. It's getting started. Belle I would like to do, it's the golden dress Belle, not the winter Belle. So the golden dress Belle I would like to do on like a dark piece of blue, sort of midnight blue. I think that would look really nice. And then Merida, I didn't really have a thought. I thought maybe greeny brown, maybe something that had bits of blue throughout it, like light blue, to sort of replicate the wisps. But this piece of fabric I bought is purple, green, blue, red. I'll show you next time. The invoice came through today, but obviously it hasn't arrived yet. I only ordered it on Thursday and today's Saturday. And as fast as Megan is, I don't think that would be humanly possible. Maybe, but I don't think so. And I think it'll be perfect for Merida. Obviously when it arrives, I'll see. It might end up being used for another princess when I get it. And if I decide on something else for Merida, if I feel it doesn't work as well as I think it will. But ultimately, that's what I got it for in mind. I didn't spend any money at the Bristol Stitchy Day, which is another lovely day run by Sue. I actually walked away with more money than when I went in. I de-stashed 2 kits. I need to stop hitting. I de-stashed 2 kits for £5 each. So I walked in £10 richer than when I left. So not a bad month. I have all of the finishing stuff for Level Up Sampler. I went to Turtle Bay Textiles on Tuesday in Bridgend and purchased some fabric. I'm not classing things to finish gifts or for gifts as breaking this. So if I buy yarn to make a gift to someone and I know what I'm making with it, I'm not classing that as breaking my no spending. It's to stop the impulse buying And usually when when I decide that I'm going to make a gift for someone, there's been a thought process with that, so I'm not too concerned about that. My next, I think, crochet gift is going to be a fun one. It's either going to be a taxidermied dragon skull for me, or one of Crafty Intentions. My mum and my sister have both asked me for dragons. I made the Crafty Intentions octopus, which I showed on my last video, for my sister a couple of years ago now, and Mum wants a dragon, Alex wants a dragon, so I mean, I'd like a dragon for myself too. I really want to make the phoenix for myself as well, but knowing me, I'll probably make the dragons for the gifts. I don't seem to actually make things for myself, which is something I'd like to change. I've started on lots of things that I'd like to stitch for myself, but we shall see. So, the other thing that I have been stitching during January, now we're away from that little tangent, the other thing I've been stitching in January is the Animals Tree of Life Sal from Climbing Goat Designs. I said I was going to start this. I said I was going to try and keep up to date. In my mind, I am up to date because while the title text was released as the first part of the Sal, released with it, it wasn't part of the stitching, if that made sense. It's to stitch as and when we like, but to send to myself, I started it to make sure I was at the right height from the bottom of the fabric and in the middle. So that's about 800 stitches, and I am about 800 full crosses away from the end of it. There's a bit of back stitch around to finish back stitching around the starfish. Obviously got to finish the sea squirt, and then there's 2 more creatures. I can't remember their names up here, and then seaweed and family names, genus names, clades. So that is up to date. I have until the 10th to finish this section, which I think I can do personally. I'm leaving as much as I can the seaweed to the end, just because it's one colour and there's no back stitch, so I'm leaving it sort of when I get done. Although I'm pretty sure with the jellyfish, the sponge and the coral, I'm pretty sure I've completed the back stitch that makes your eyes go squirrely, because I had to take lots of breaks during them. At one point I was stitching a thread of full crosses and a thread of back stitch just to keep my eyes working, because that was a challenging. The coral and the sponge not so much, because the colours made sense, but the jellyfish were just, the pink started melding together, and yeah, it was a challenge, but it's done. So I will attempt to take a picture when I finish this to upload into the end of February's video, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, so I'm keeping up to date with the Sal. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. So February's plans, we've got WipGo Called, which was 7 and 8, which is the Pixel Dragon Adventure, and the James Webb Space Telescope, which I've got here to show you. We've also got our round of Myth and Magic, so the Dryads are playing on Valentine's Day. So we shall see how well we do, whether we get knocked out of the round or whether we get to stay in Ruby League. I usually work on for Myth and Magic. I say usually, I've done it twice. I've been with the Dryads for approximately two stitching rounds. But I work on Visit. Oh, unfold. I work on Visit Blackreach for Myth. It's a really simple blocky stitching. There's not a lot of counting, particularly because I'm stitching on 16 count gridded fabric. It is full coverage, full cross, and apart from the white in the centre of the mushrooms, which was a challenge to ensure that I'd actually stitched the full crosses, and then I am assuming not easy for the overlord to confirm that I had actually stitched that. This has been a really fun stitch. What I'm planning to do for this round, however, is work on the James Webb Space Telescope. Once I've done my 1,000 stitches into that for WipGo, I will then pull out Visit Blackreach and finish the rest of the round on Visit Blackreach. So James Webb Space Telescope is number 7 for me. And I need to unfold it. So this is where it is at currently. My plan is to do all the, I think it's 743, I'm probably wrong, but 743 outlines of the rest of the hexagons. So down around and around here, that'll get me to about 700, 800 stitches. And then I'm going to probably continue filling this in with black with 310. There's a lot of 310 in this square, so I've sort of been doing a thread into it while I've done other ones just to break up the monotony, but I'm just going to stick the rest of these stitches into there to get to 1,000 for this, and then away we go. I try not to do back stitching when I have stitched for Myth in the past, just because back stitching counts as half a stitch, and that's maths that I don't want to do. It's bad enough with Pattern Keeper having to mentally work it out. With Saga you can set up marathons. This is a Pattern Keeper pattern, so I have to sort of keep track and work out the price of the ingredient that I'm buying and how many stitches I need to get for that. Such a hardship, I know. And then 8, which is Pixel Dragon Adventure. This is going to go onto a Q-Snap tonight. It is February the 1st today. I've decided I don't really have the energy or the thought process to film and edit on a weekday after work, so it is a weekend thing. So it is going to be the weekend, either at the end or after the end of the month. So obviously the 31st was Friday yesterday, so today's the 1st of February. So this is January's video, even though it's coming out in February. So this is what I've done for Pixel Dragon Adventures. This is where this is at the moment. I'm stitching this 1/1 on a piece of 28 count even weave from the Stitchy Ferret. It's a beautiful purple, and my plan for this one is just to stitch the purple, which is 208, and do all the outlines. The middle third of the pattern, all the outlines are in purple, so there's about 3,000 stitches, so 1,000 stitches will get me a decent way into that. And my idea with this is, when I get to a point where I've had a day and I just want to stitch, or I've had a week and I just want to stitch without thinking, I'll have done the outlines, so it will just be filling in, so minimal counting in theory, hopefully. But obviously I need to do the outlines first before I can even get to that point. So that's my plan for this, is to stitch the outlines. So let's not fully put that away, but make it safe, because it will go onto a Q-Snap later. So those are my plans. Obviously Animals Tree of Life Sal will come back out when the next, well, it'll get finished, and then when the new release is released on the 10th, then I'll continue putting it on. Myth and Magic starts on the 14th, usually runs, well, each round runs for 10 days. Whether we make it the full 10 remains to be seen. They have introduced TKR, the Killer Rabbit. So if you are the last clan standing, the round no longer automatically ends. You either have to choose to end it, or you can fight TKR and continue to get points. So it's no longer that you can just, like, if you're winning by points, you can choose to essentially throw it away because you know you're winning on points, and then there's 2 clans standing, you capitulate, the other clan has no way to get points, so you just win by ending the round, which tactically was in the rules and you could do, but now you've got TKR, so there's a good reason not to just throw it away if you want to win, because the other clan can still get points by fighting TKR. So that's that. Usually I think we've lasted 5 days in previous rounds, so I mean, Visit Blackreach is about a third done, so probably going to get another 6 in it once I finish James Webb Space Telescope. They have moved the starts of the rounds to Fridays, so you do have a weekend to get your stitching in, and we shall see how we do. We shall. Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. I think that's it from me at the moment. I shall see you again. I will be filming again on the 1st of March. I will try and see if I can get some daffodils, it being St. David's Day and all. So I shall see you on the 1st of March, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed whatever you're doing while you've been watching this video. Like I said before, I tend to stitch while watching Flosstubes. If you have been stitching, it would be lovely to know what you're working on. I try not to get influenced, but, well, enabled, I think is the word. I'm very easily enabled, which is something with my no spend that I'm trying to curb a little bit. If I'm not planning on stitching it, I'm not getting it, is the way forward. Anyway, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.